All right. Amazing. Come on into the room. If you could do me a favor, just while everybody's sort of coming in, settling in, we're getting set up over here. If you could do me a favor, drop your name, open up the chat box. There should be at the bottom of your screen a little ribbon for Zoom, and there should be a little button that says chat. If you could open up the chat box, drop your name in there. Let me know that you can hear and see me okay. Let me know where you're tuning in from. That would be really great if you could do that. Even if you just type yes into the chat box so that I know you can hear and see me okay. And I want to welcome you to the Painful Period Solution Masterclass. We're really going to get into a much deeper level of understanding when it comes to painful periods. We're going to talk about what causes them, what some natural solutions are beyond magnesium. Okay. Like, I see these types of posts all of the time on social media, on Instagram in particular. I have 99 problems and magnesium solved like 89 of them. I love magnesium, don't get me wrong, but the number of women that I talk to, and from my own personal experience, my clinical experience, magnesium isn't the be all and end all. So we're going to talk about some natural solutions today beyond magnesium, because I know you've probably tried that. And we're going to get into some actionable steps that you can start taking to heal your body naturally. You're going to get loads of insights and clarity so that you can really start to understand what's going on inside of your body. Because chances are, if you're here with me today, your periods aren't just uncomfortable. They may even be completely debilitating. Maybe you're missing work or social events because the pain is so intense, or you've had days where you can't even get out of bed because of the pain, the bloating, even the nausea. You might even feel like you're in this constant cycle of anxiety, dreading the days when your period is going to arrive. You've probably even dealt with other symptoms like headaches and back pain and heavy bleeding. And again, this pain's so intense, and all of this just makes you feel like your body is working against you, like you're kind of at war with your body. And maybe even mood swings that make you feel like you're a stranger in your own body. Let me know in the chat if this is resonating with you so far. And thank you for letting me know that you can hear and see me okay. I appreciate that. But let me know, type yes if this is resonating with you. And I'm sure you've tried everything under the sun to get relief. Maybe you've tried the painkillers, Tylenol, Advil, Midol, maybe even prescription pain medications. You've probably tried the heating pads, the magnesium, acupuncture, chiropractic care, maybe other supplements. And maybe you've even experimented with different diets or lifestyle changes, but nothing is really offering you that long-term relief. Nothing has given you that solution. And despite all of the things that you've tried, it feels like nothing is truly working. The pain keeps coming back. Maybe it's getting worse month over month, and you're really kind of getting tired of relying on medications and other short-term fixes for a problem that seems to be getting worse, not better. I'd really love to know in the chat, let me know what you've tried, whether it's medications, hormonal birth control, supplements, diet changes, working with a practitioner. I'd really love to get a sense of what it is that you've tried, so we can talk about some things that are a little bit different today, okay? And I also understand how frustrating that process can be. You feel like you're trapped in your body, like you're at war with it every month, almost like you're a prisoner in your own body, living in this autopilot survival mode. There's almost a feeling of helplessness because it seems like there's no end in sight, right? You might even be worrying about how this is impacting other areas of your life, your energy, your relationships, your work. And maybe you've started to wonder if this is just the way things are, or if there's a way to live without the pain and the dread, where you can actually stop dreading your period, where you can get out of this vicious loop of dread, period, dread, to live life on your terms, where you're healthy and happy and free from this feeling that your hormones are driving the bus. And you're not alone. I want you to know that because it can feel really isolating. You can feel really vulnerable. It feels like nobody else around you understands what you're experiencing. It's like you're living on this little island. You're not alone. And more importantly, painful periods are not something that you have to live with forever. So what I really want to do today is I want to provide you with so much clarity and insight into what's causing the pain, as well as some of these other symptoms that you might be experiencing. So you can really start to understand what all of it means. And we're going to talk about natural solutions to help you take control of your body and your health. So that by the end of the class today, you're going to have a really clear understanding of the real root causes behind period pain and hormonal imbalances and what you can start to do to heal your body naturally and permanently. Okay. All right, before we dive in, I want to give you a little bit of background on me. First and foremost, I have been in your shoes. I used to have 10-day, sometimes more long periods. 2 to 3 of those days were brutally heavy. I'd be changing a Super Plus tampon and a pad because I had to have a backup. I'd be changing those every 2 hours. Sometimes I could get away with 3 hours. But God forbid I should go more than that. And then I was just leaking all over the place. I was absolutely exhausted. I was questioning my life, my abilities as a mother. I felt like I was at war with my body, constantly checking my period app before I made plans. I also had a week of excruciatingly, debilitatingly painful ovulation. A week. I felt like I was being stabbed in the pelvis. So I'm no stranger to the pain. And I begged my doctor for help. And all she told me that were my labs were normal and would give me a prescription for the pill. And I begged, I pleaded, I went back and back and back. And I finally got a referral to an OB who, when I finally got to see her 8 months later, because it takes that long to get your appointment, she barely looked at me. She didn't ask me questions. She did a really quick internal exam, told me that I probably have endometriosis and to just take the pill. So I get it. It took a quarter life crisis for me, a health crisis, leaving a successful corporate career to go back to school, of continuing to acquire education and degrees and diplomas and certifications to become a women's healthcare advocate and specialist. I have an honors bachelor's from the University of Toronto. I graduated with first class honors from the Institute of Holistic Nutrition. I'm a certified nutrition practitioner from the CNPCC. I'm a certified menstrual health coach with the Institute for Menstrual Health. I'm certified in Dutch hormone testing. I'm certified in clinical detoxification and certified in clinical lab diagnostics. And ultimately, what all that boils down to is I help cycling women heal their body from the inside out so we can balance your hormones naturally, optimize your health and hormones so you can regain your energy and thrive, and to enhance the enjoyment of life and restore your capacity to achieve your goals. And I've spent nearly the last decade now studying and researching and upleveling my knowledge and education to become a specialist in women's health and hormones. I've been mentored, I've been coached, I've been guided by some of the best in the industry. So I feel very well equipped and confident to be teaching this to you and supporting the hundreds of women who have come to work with me, women who are dealing with things like heavy, long, and painful periods, perimenopause, endometriosis, adenomyosis, who have autoimmunity, digestive health and wellness issues, adrenal fatigue, fibroids, PMS, PMDD, and that's just to name a few. Now, on a personal note, I'm 42. I am a mom first. I have 2 girls. I almost said they're little. They're not little anymore. Naya is 11 and Aviana is going to be turning 8 going on 18 in a couple of months. I love food. And frankly, I need things that are simple. I don't have time for complicated, and you probably don't either, I bet. So, we're going to dive into things, a couple of really quick housekeeping pieces before we dive in. Open up the chat box if you haven't already. Open up the chat box, type your name, and let me know where you're tuning in from today. And it would also be really helpful if you let me know what other issues, what other symptoms, what other health struggles you're experiencing, so I can touch on those for you today as well, okay? And I also want you to close all the other distractions that you have. Close all of the tabs on your computer, turn off your phone. You're here for a reason. And what's going to happen is if you're trying to multitask, you're going to miss what it is that you were meant to hear today. And you're going to walk away without having that information, without having the direction that you were looking for to finally understand what's going on in your body and what to do about it. Okay. And that doesn't serve you. That doesn't help you achieve your goals. That doesn't help you get your health and your hormone balance back. So turn everything else off, close all of the other tabs, get a pad of paper and a pen. I'm going to be giving you so many tips and tricks and tools today. You're going to want to take notes. So make sure you've got a pen, a paper handy, or if you have a note, a Word document that you want to open on your computer, you can do that too. And also make note of questions that you want to ask. Okay. So we're going to dive in. I don't do slides, by the way. I stopped doing slides a couple of years ago. I just find them really distracting. I want this to be a conversation. So drop things into the chat. Let's have a conversation. That's how you're going to get the most out of it. If you're involved, you're engaging, you're asking questions, asking for the support that you want. Okay. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about why you actually need to stop blaming your hormones, which I know sounds counterintuitive, right? I'm talking all about balancing your hormones and period pain. We actually need to stop blaming hormones, and we'll talk about why. We're going to talk about the causes of period pain. So we're going to talk about inflammation and where that's coming from. We're going to talk about the gut and estrogen recycling. We're going to talk about the liver detoxification and the wrong forms of estrogen. And then we're going to talk about insulin resistance, blood sugar imbalances, and how that can create inflammation, and also estrogen dominance, which is a bit of a buzzword, but frankly, that's my specialty. And estrogen dominance is really anything that can be classified as a condition or a symptom where estrogen is relatively dominant to progesterone, right? So the heavy, long, painful periods, endometriosis, adenomyosis, fibroids, PMS, all of that, okay? We're going to talk about some of my favorite ways to naturally reduce period pain. And again, going beyond magnesium supplements. Forget this whole, I got 99 problems and magnesium solved 89 of them. It's overrated. I love magnesium. I keep magnesium on my desk, but it is not the be all and end all. And we're going to also talk about what to do when painful periods are caused by endometriosis, adenomyosis, and fibroids. Okay. Does that sound good? You're a really quiet group. So do me a favor, type "let's do this" in the chat if you're ready to dive into this today, if you're ready to get these answers, you're ready to have these tips and tricks and strategies that I'm going to share with you today. So do that for me, please. Open up your chat box, type "let's do this." I was scheduled to get a Mirena tomorrow, but just canceled because I have a cold. Well, I'm sorry you have a cold. And maybe this is divine timing for you, right? Having this class today, not being able to get the Mirena tomorrow, maybe this is divine timing for you to start to understand some of the reasons why you're experiencing these symptoms. That's what you were thinking too. Amazing. All right, who else is ready? Tell me you're ready in the chat, and I need to take a quick sip of my water here. And I want to talk about first why we need to stop blaming our hormones for painful periods and other symptoms, right? Whether that is the heavy bleeding, the clots, the fibroids, the PMS, the mood swings, what have you. Far too often, we hear, oh, she's just hormonal, or it must be that time of the month, or oh my gosh, my hormones are out of control. We actually need to stop doing that. We have to stop blaming our hormones because our hormones are part of a bigger picture. They're only part of the puzzle, right? We've been taught to believe, or perhaps led to believe, that painful periods and other cycling symptoms are purely a hormonal problem. And yes, it's true, the hormones can be triggering the symptoms, like the pain, for example, but they aren't the root cause. They're not the root cause of painful periods. The underlying causes, like inflammation, poor gut health, liver dysfunction, insulin resistance, for example, that is what's driving the hormonal imbalances. These are what drive the hormones to become imbalanced, and we're gonna dive into each of those today. Hormones are just chemical messengers. They're just delivering a message. Think about hormones like your mail delivery carrier, your mailman, right? Your mailman is the hormone. Blaming the mailman for delivering bad news, you're missing the point, right? He's not the one that wrote the letter. He's just delivering it to you. Is this making sense so far? Tried lots of supplements and recently Vitex calcium D. Oh, I'm going to speak on calcium D glucarate and DIM. Yes, got crazy headaches. So did the crazy headaches come from taking some of these supplements, or did you have the crazy headaches beforehand as well? And also let me know in the chat if this is making sense so far, everything that we're talking about, because if it doesn't make sense, if you've got questions, please ask. I want to make sure that this is landing for you, okay? And I want to talk about too why some of the common treatments, things like the Vitex, the calcium D-glucarate, the DIM, for example, why they fail. And the main reason they fail is because they're only focusing on a surface level problem, right? So think about things like hormonal birth control, pain medications, magnesium, other supplements, right? Like the calcium D-glucarate, the DIM. They are designed to manage a symptom, to hide a symptom, which is like a band-aid. They're not really solving the underlying problem. And in the case of something like calcium D-glucarate, which I'll talk, and DIM actually, which I'll talk more about when we get into the gut, when we get into the liver, they might actually be making things worse for you if that isn't what your body needs. Okay, so worst case scenario, you end up with new symptoms, or you're just wasting your money on something your body doesn't need. That's kind of the best case scenario, right? So what we need to do, instead of asking what's wrong with my hormones, instead of blaming the hormones, we need to start asking what's causing my hormones to become imbalanced in the first place. It's this shift in mindset that starts to bring your awareness and to enhance your empowerment because it gives you control. You can start taking action by healing the root causes and supporting your body's natural healing processes. Imagine this. When I talk about enhancing your empowerment and taking back control, imagine this. I talked about my own experience, gosh, more than a decade ago now, going to the OB, being told that I have to take hormonal birth control. What I didn't tell you was she refused to treat me when I refused to take the pill. That was taking my power back, because I started asking these questions. Well, what is causing this? What is underlying this problem? What is the birth control actually solving? And she had no answer for me. And that's when I had my big health crisis, career shift, midlife change. It wasn't midlife, it was like a quarter life change, right? I took back control. Instead of just taking that medication, just taking that birth control, just taking that supplement because somebody else told me to. I wanted to understand the why. There's a mindset shift that needs to happen. Okay. Okay. Inflammation is the root of all period problems and hormonal imbalance symptoms, especially when we're talking about painful periods. Inflammation is the cornerstone. When we think about pain, that's inflammation, right? Like think about it. When you stub your toe, it hurts, it turns red, it swells, it gets hot. That's inflammation. Inflammation equals pain. So the key to addressing period pain is to address the inflammation. So then we have to ask the question, well, where is this inflammation coming from, right? The biggest internal source of inflammation is the gut, which is what we're going to get into next. Then we've got to consider what inflammatory inputs are coming into the body. Are there food, beverages, chemicals in the environment, or products that we use that are coming in and causing inflammation? And how is your blood sugar? Because dysregulation in blood sugar can cause inflammation as well. And I know so often you hear blood sugar, you hear insulin, and you think, well, that's for diabetics. I'm not diabetic, so that doesn't apply to me. It absolutely does. And we'll talk about why. But we're going to start with the gut, okay? Because this is so critical for painful periods, for pain, for inflammation. If you are someone who has endometriosis, adenomyosis, if you have mood swings, anxiety, if you have a lot of cognitive dysfunction, really need to pay attention here. And I also want to know if you grapple with digestive issues, things like bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, heartburn, indigestion, things like that. Let me know in the chat. You can type yes if you want to tell me exactly what those symptoms are that you struggle with. Great. Otherwise, just type yes. Let me know in the chat. Or if you have PMS, anxiety, mood swings, headaches or migraines, skin issues like rosacea, acne or eczema, cognitive difficulties like brain fog, difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, or other autoimmune conditions. Any of those, are you nodding your head? Yep, yep, yep. I have that. I have that. Let me know in the chat if you're experiencing, just type yes if you're nodding your head over there. Because if any of these are true for you, there is inflammation in your gut and it's contributing not only to these symptoms, but your painful periods and poor health outcomes long term. Okay, so how does inflammation even start in the gut? That's the next question. We always need to be thinking, well, what's the next question that we should be asking? So if there's inflammation in the gut, okay, cool, where is that inflammation coming from? So many ways, okay? If you're not chewing your food thoroughly, it's going to put a strain on your stomach, your small and large intestine. If you have a bacterial overgrowth or a parasite or candida, if you eat too much sugar or alcohol or refined carbs, dairy has been linked with inflammation, specifically in the gut and directly to painful and heavy periods. If you overeat, that puts a strain on your digestive system, causing inflammation. Many medications, including hormonal birth control, create inflammation in the gut. If you're constipated or you're not having at least one, ideally two, complete bowel movements daily, it's going to create inflammation. If you are living in chronic stress, fight or flight mode, that's going to create inflammation in your gut. Okay. And the other thing that we need to think about when we're talking about the gut painful period connection is the estrobolome. Let me know in the chat if you have heard of the estrobolome before. I talk about it often. I think I do anyway, but I live in a little bubble over here. Let me know if you're familiar, if you've heard of the estrobolome, because it plays a really critical role in hormone balance and period health. You haven't heard of it. Okay. The estrobolome, it's a collection of bacteria in your gut. You've heard of the microbiome, right? I feel like the microbiome, it's a common term now. Everybody understands microbiome. It's the bacteria that live in our gut and elsewhere in our body. We're more bacteria than we are human cells, actually, okay? Within the microbiome in the gut, there's a collection of bacteria called the estrobolome. And these bacteria are specifically responsible for metabolizing and regulating estrogen levels in circulation. It's basically like a filter for estrogen. Think about it like that. If the filter isn't working properly, it can cause a buildup of estrogen in the body, right? Like think about, we have this problem with our sink. We have now one of these little like sieve things that sits in our drain in our kitchen sink. And when it gets clogged, the water starts to back up in the sink. And we have to clear out the filter, right? Same sort of thing is happening with the estrobolome, right? The estrobolome also helps to convert estrogen into its inactive form so it can be safely eliminated from the body. So when your gut bacteria are balanced, when they're functioning properly, the estrobolome is going to ensure that excess estrogen is processed and eliminated. But when the gut is unhealthy, when it's imbalanced, when the estrobolome, the bacteria in the estrobolome are overgrown, it's not going to break estrogen down properly. And instead, it's going to recycle it back into your bloodstream, leading to estrogen dominance, which is a really common trigger for painful periods. It's this excess estrogen or estrogen dominant position from the estrobolome in the gut that can also lead to things like heavier periods, because more estrogen means the uterine lining grows thicker, leading to heavier, more painful bleeding. Worse pain and cramping, because these high estrogen levels increase the production of prostaglandins. These are inflammatory messengers that cause the uterus to contract more intensely, resulting in severe period pain and cramps. And then also mood swings and irritability, because these fluctuating estrogen levels can disrupt your mood, making PMS symptoms like irritability or anxiety, these mood swings where you feel like you just can't control yourself. It makes it even worse. So the next question, what causes the estrobolome to become imbalanced? Well, there's a few things. Diet and lifestyle are going to contribute. A poor diet, if it's high in sugar, processed foods, alcohol, if there's chronic stress, environmental toxins, that can all negatively affect your gut health and disrupt the balance of bacteria in the estrobolome. Antibiotics and medications. When there's an overuse of antibiotics, by the way, I grew up on antibiotics. So there's no anything, there's no shame, there's no judgment. I also took birth control for 12 years. Birth control is another medication that is going to disrupt your microbiome, really harming the estrobolome and its ability to regulate estrogen. And then we've got gut dysbiosis. So this is kind of a fancy term for saying there's an imbalance of the bacteria in the gut. There's going to be an overgrowth of harmful bacteria, or there's even a lack of diversity, a lack of good bacteria in the gut, and that can lead to poor estrogen metabolism. And I see this time and again on the GI map gut health tests that I run with my clients. They have an overgrowth of bacteria that are upregulating the production of an enzyme that is sending estrogen back into circulation within the estrobolome. Okay. So how can we support your gut? This is the next question, right? This is where we're building our empowerment. How can we support the gut? How can we support your estrobolome to reduce the painful periods? Well, we've got to nourish your gut properly. Supporting your gut health is essential for keeping the estrobolome balanced and effective. So key strategies here for you. Eat a fiber-rich diet, vegetables, legumes, full of prebiotics, prebiotic foods, cooked and cooled white rice, cooked and cooled potatoes. I really love green banana flour, green bananas, these sorts of things, plantains. Jicama is another really good one to feed the beneficial gut bacteria. Incorporate fermented foods, things like sauerkraut and kimchi and kefir, to bring those probiotics in to enhance gut diversity. And avoid foods that are going to disrupt gut health, like processed sugars and excessive alcohol, for example. And foods that can help to balance estrogen naturally are things like cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. They contain a compound called indole-3 carbinol that helps your liver and your gut metabolize estrogen, break it down, and eliminate it more effectively. And also hydrate really well to ensure regular bowel movements and to help eliminate excess estrogen from the body. When you support your digestive system and your estrobolome, you're giving your body the tools to process estrogen correctly, which helps to reduce the heavy bleeding, reduce the pain, and to help support more stable moods that can be associated with these painful periods. And when you heal your gut, healing your gut, nurturing your estrobolome. It's such a powerful natural way to prevent the buildup of excess estrogen and to stop painful periods at the root, right? And that's why I've included a 4-week digestive reset plan as part of the Hormone Healing Hub. And I'll share a little bit more about that later on if you're interested, okay? Okay, how are we doing? I want to do a bit of a pulse check. How are we doing? Is this making sense? I want to pause for a sec. Like I said, I want to do a pulse check, take any questions that you have about the gut and its connection to inflammation and painful periods. Pop any questions that you have into the chat. I'm going to take a sip of my water, and then we're going to get into the liver and detoxification. Sarah says, yes, I eat like this. Cool. So there's more to the story for you. Okay. Any other questions? Drop them into the chat, please. One more thing, actually, before I move into the liver and detoxification, I want to pause for a sec and talk about the gut as it relates to things like endometriosis and adenomyosis in particular, because both of these are autoimmune in nature and inflammatory conditions. We cannot ignore the role of the immune system in endometriosis and adenomyosis. They are not driven purely by hormones. They're actually not really even a gynecological condition exclusively. Okay, with the immune system, it is imperative that we look at the gut because depending on the research that you're citing, 70 to 80% of the immune system lives in the gut. And remember too, the gut is the largest internal source of inflammation. So if you're someone who struggles with endometriosis or adenomyosis, it's critical that you investigate the role of your gut. And one more quick note on digestive health and function. It would be a mistake to assume that a lack of major digestive system symptoms, things like bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, etc. It would be a mistake to assume that if you don't have any of those symptoms, that it means your digestive system is a-okay and you can just ignore it. I would really strongly caution against that. Far too many women make that mistake and it's costing them. It's costing them time. It's costing them money. It's costing them energy and frustration. If you have hormonal imbalances, you have symptoms, period symptoms, cyclical symptoms, if you have iron deficiency, anxiety, mood swings, cognitive issues, the brain fog, difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, autoimmunity, thyroid issues, you're getting sick often, if you have regular UTIs, so urinary tract infections or bladder infections, yeast infections or bacterial vaginosis, if you have skin issues like rosacea, eczema, acne, psoriasis, if you have body composition issues despite your best efforts with nutrition and exercise, any of these, it is imperative that you investigate the health of your gut. All health begins in the gut. So if you are not happy with your health and your hormones, don't ignore this. It would also be a mistake to assume that all you need to do is eat a clean diet and take a probiotic. Okay, that doesn't solve for overgrowths of bacteria, parasites, candida, for example. It doesn't solve for a leaky gut. It doesn't solve for a chronically activated nervous system that is disrupting digestive health. Okay, is this making sense? Are you nodding your head yes to any of the symptoms that I've listed beyond just the gut health symptoms? And if you have any questions, drop them in. Otherwise, it's making sense. Okay, good. We're going to move on from the gut. We've talked about the gut enough. We're going to talk about the liver. And feel free as we're going along, if questions are coming up, drop them into the chat. I will come into the chat when it's an opportune moment to answer those questions. So I'm not ignoring you. I can get squirrely if I start bouncing around, okay? So moving on from the gut, we're going to talk about the liver. This is your body's detox powerhouse. It processes everything from toxins to hormones, including estrogen. Your liver's job in this regard is to break down and neutralize your hormones like estrogen so they can be safely eliminated from your body. And if your liver isn't functioning properly, it can't process estrogen effectively, which leads to an estrogen buildup and can contribute to painful periods. And we can end up with toxic estrogen metabolites in your system. And this can wreak havoc on your hormones and make period pain so much worse. Not to mention, one of these toxic estrogen metabolites is carcinogenic. That means it's cancer promoting and potentially even DNA damaging. So we're not even just talking about painful periods here. We're getting into the realm of things like cancer and premature aging and autoimmunity and degenerative diseases. Hormones are not just about our periods, okay? Now, your liver can become overwhelmed. So this is the next question. Okay, so how do I know what happens to my liver? How does it stop functioning optimally? That's the next question, right? We're changing our mindset. We're trying to become empowered and take our control back, right? How does it become empowered? How does it become overwhelmed? By these everyday toxins? Well, think about it. The diet, the food that we're eating, processed foods, alcohol, sugar increases the liver's workload. So much of the food that we eat today isn't real food. It's Frankenfoods, really. It can be coming in from the environment, pesticides, pollutions, household chemicals. These all expose your liver to toxins. Personal care products. Many cosmetics and skincare products contain chemicals like parabens and phthalates that disrupt hormone balance and stress the liver. And when your liver is overloaded with toxins, it's going to prioritize dealing with toxins over metabolizing estrogen, which leads to a buildup of excess estrogen and worsening period pain. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, I use all organic products, I eat all organic food, so, my toxic load is low. We live in a toxic soup. The amount of environmental toxins that we are exposed to on a day-to-day basis, thousands. It is so fantastic that you're eating clean, that you're using organic products. All of that matters because it's a cumulative effect. But just like with the gut, where I said if you don't have digestive symptoms, well, you can check gut health off your list. No, same thing here. We've got to be looking at your liver. We're exposed to toxins every day, whether you're aware of it or not. Okay. How can we support the liver's detox processes for less painful periods? Because when you support your liver's natural detox processes, you help your body process and clear estrogen more efficiently, which reduces the symptoms of estrogen dominance. So a couple of key strategies for you. Cruciferous veggies here again, broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. They contain that compound indole 3-carbinol that helps the liver break down estrogen. Beets and leafy greens are fantastic fantastic to support liver detoxification. I'm making up words today. Hydrate well. We need plenty of water to help flush toxins and estrogen metabolites from the system. Avoid alcohol and processed foods because they burden the liver and they slow down its ability to detoxify. Increase fiber intake. Fiber helps to bind estrogen in the digestive tract, helping to eliminate it through the stool. And it also helps to prevent reabsorption of estrogen back into your bloodstream. When your liver is functioning optimally, it keeps estrogen in check, reducing the risk of estrogen dominance and the painful periods that can come with it. When you support your liver's detox processes, you'll have lighter, more manageable periods, less severe cramping, fewer PMS symptoms like mood swings and bloating, better overall hormone balance and energy levels. And this is a major reason why I've included a gentle liver detox in the Hormone Healing Hub, so that we can not only support your periods, but your moods, your cognitive function, your energy levels, your metabolism, your weight, so much more. Okay. What questions do you have for me about the liver and detoxification? Vitex is not for the liver. Vitex is actually working on the pituitary in your brain to improve signaling to the ovaries. Vitex is not a liver detoxification herb. Cool. Okay. All right. Let's talk about insulin resistance and blood sugar. And if you've got questions that are coming up, if you're madly typing away, still go ahead, type your questions and I'll come back to them. Insulin resistance and blood sugar. And again, please don't make the mistake of assuming that insulin and blood sugar are only for diabetics. This is the foundation for your hormones and period. Insulin is a hormone that regulates blood sugar, and it plays a major role in overall hormone balance, including estrogen. When blood sugar levels are consistently fluctuating, they're constantly up and down, spiking from sugary meals or dropping too low because you're skipping meals, your body overproduces insulin to manage the situation. And insulin resistance occurs when your body's cells become less responsive to all of these fluctuating levels of insulin, leading to chronically high blood sugar and elevated insulin levels, which sets off a hormonal chain reaction that affects estrogen and can lead to painful periods. How? That's the next logical question, right? Well, how? How does this dysregulation in blood sugar and insulin affect my estrogen and my painful periods? Well, let's explore this. When we have elevated insulin levels, that's going to disrupt your hormone balance by increasing estrogen production. Excess insulin can lead to higher levels of estrogen because it stimulates the ovaries to produce more estrogen than is needed. It's also going to decrease progesterone. Insulin resistance will impair the production of progesterone, leading to a hormonal imbalance where estrogen dominates. It can also worsen estrogen clearance because high insulin levels also reduce the liver's ability to detoxify estrogen efficiently. So we have this buildup of excess estrogen, which leads to estrogen dominance. These blood sugar imbalances from eating too many refined carbs, from skipping meals, not eating enough food, or having excess sugar, for example, cause inflammation. And remember, inflammation equals pain. Low blood sugar can also trigger your stress hormones like cortisol, which further disrupts hormone imbalances, further disrupts insulin and blood sugar, and increases PMS symptoms. And high blood sugar, those spikes will contribute to more insulin resistance, which deepens the cycle of estrogen dominance and its effects on painful periods. Insulin resistance also impacts our androgen production. So, testosterone, for example, which can lead to irritability and rage and anxiety and depression, irregular periods, hair loss on the head, hair growth on the chin, the chest, the breast, the tummy, acne, stubborn weight gain. And insulin resistance and blood sugar dysregulation also upregulate an enzyme called aromatase, which converts our androgens, like testosterone, into our estrogens. So we have more estrogens and then estrogen dominance. And this estrogen dominance can cause the intense cramping and pain. It can stimulate endometriosis and adenomyosis tissue, adhesions and lesions. It can cause heavier and longer periods. It can worsen PMS symptoms, especially mood swings, bloating, and breast tenderness. So, how do you know? How do you know if you have a blood sugar imbalance or potentially even insulin resistance? There's some blood testing that you can get, which I'll talk about in a minute, but we can also look at your symptoms. Do you have frequent cravings for sugar or carbs? Do you feel tired after eating, or do you feel like you need a nap in the afternoon? Do you have weight gain, particularly around your midsection? Do you have difficulty losing weight despite diet or exercise? Do you have skin tags or dark patches of skin, usually on the neck or your underarms? Do you have anxiety or nervousness, afternoon energy crashes, insomnia, cognitive difficulties, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, headaches or migraines, mood swings or moodiness, irritability, PMS? And in terms of blood work, you can look at your HbA1c. This is your hemoglobin A1c. We want that to be a 5.4 or less. And you should also be asking your doctor to run both your fasting glucose and fasting insulin. and use those to look at your HOMA IR value to understand your degree of insulin resistance. Okay. Sarah says all of the above. Who else, when I read that list of symptoms out, who else is sitting there going, yep, that's me? Type yes in the chat if you can relate. And we're also going to talk about how you can manage your blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. Stabilizing blood sugar and improving your insulin sensitivity can have a direct impact on reducing your period pain and balancing your estrogen to progesterone ratio. You can take all the supplements under the sun and do all the health hacks you're seeing on social media, but if you are not foundationally supporting your blood sugar and insulin sensitivity, if supporting metabolism isn't on your radar, none of those efforts are going to be effective. So some key strategies for you: eat balanced meals with protein, healthy fats, fiber-rich carbs, vegetables, whole grains, legumes to help keep your blood sugar levels stable throughout the day. Stop skipping meals. Skipping meals leads to blood sugar crashes, which triggers insulin spikes. And then when you finally eat, you're going to contribute to more hormonal chaos. Avoid refined sugars and processed carbs, which can cause blood sugar to spike and crash, increasing inflammation and hormonal imbalance. And exercise regularly. Physical activity improves insulin sensitivity, helping your body to better manage blood sugar levels. Even moderate exercise like walking can help. Walk after each of your main meals. 10 minutes is all you need. Do a set of a set of squats every 30 minutes to an hour throughout the day. Build your muscle. It is the muscle where you have GLUT4 receptors. The muscle cells have GLUT4 receptors, which are responsible for that insulin sensitivity. More muscle you have, the more insulin sensitive you are. That's a good thing. Your blood sugar levels and insulin levels are intricately connected to your hormones. And when they're out of balance, it's going to lead to estrogen dominance and painful periods. So when you manage your blood sugar, you're not only protecting your longer term health, but you're also taking a big step towards pain-free, manageable periods. And when the women I work with really start to focus on stabilizing their blood sugar, they start to notice very quickly stable moods, more regular cycles, shorter periods, less cramping and pain, more energy, fewer cravings, and actual weight loss, which is why this is the very first step inside the Hormone Healing Hub. So you can understand the ins and outs, have all of the tools, the resources, and support you need to hit the ground running for some quick wins. Okay, how is this sounding? Any questions? And then I'm going to share some of my favorite ways to naturally reduce period pain. Magnesium is not at the top of the list. So drop any questions that you have into the chat. And let's talk about some of these strategies to reduce painful periods, or hot tips and tricks, maybe is a better way of describing this. So I love magnesium, like I said, don't get me wrong, but it's not the be all and end all. So this idea that magnesium solves all your period problems really is just a bunch of BS. One of the key messages today was reducing inflammation. So stabilizing your blood sugar is going to do that. We talked about how to do that. Eating protein, fat, and fiber with your meals, eating regularly and not skipping meals, enjoying foods like cruciferous veggies, leafy greens, beets, omega-3 rich fatty acids, from fish like salmon and anchovies and mackerel, making sure you're getting enough fiber to bind up your estrogens, reducing your refined sugar, dairy, and alcohol intake, supporting your gut health because your gut is a major source of inflammation, investigating for any potential infections that could be causing inflammation and disrupting your estrobolome. Remember, your estrobolome is that collection of bacteria in your gut that are responsible for filtering and eliminating estrogen from your body. Eat plenty of fiber from veggies, legumes, nuts, seeds to ensure that you're moving your bowels and avoiding constipation. Fiber also helps to bind up your estrogens. Add electrolytes to your water. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water and herbal teas to stay properly hydrated. Enjoy fermented foods and bone broth. Think about reducing your toxic load and take that load off your liver to support proper estrogen metabolism. Can you be more mindful of the quality of the foods that you're consuming? Can you switch your makeup to organic and green versions? Can you switch your personal care products, your shampoos, your conditioners, your soaps, your lotions, your face products, your shaving creams, your moisturizers, your deodorants, your toothpaste, your mouthwash? Can you switch to greener home cleaning products, dish soaps and detergents and laundry products and bathroom cleaners and air fresheners? That's a big one. Can you switch to organic tampons and pads or use a cup? Women are leaving the house in the morning already having come into contact with over 300 toxic chemicals. That's before we leave the house and we're exposed to environmental toxins. So how can we start to reduce that load on your liver? It really is a cumulative effect. I also love castor oil packs regularly for period pain. I like it nightly or 4 to 5 times a week over the liver to support digest or detoxification, or you can use it over the abdomen to support digestive health and proper bowel movements. Also, make sure you're getting enough sleep. Sleep is free. And quite honestly, the most therapeutic priority we can create for ourselves. Aim to 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Lights out should be no later than 11 p.m., ideally 10 p.m. or earlier. Use blue light blockers in the evening. Better yet, turn off your devices in the evening and sleep in complete darkness in a cool room. Use a night mask if you need to. A fatigued body is an inflamed body, so make sleep a priority to reduce period pain. I also love curcumin. This is the anti-inflammatory component found in turmeric, not just on your painful days, but throughout your cycle to lower chronic and systemic inflammation. B vitamins are an excellent way to reduce period pain as well, particularly vitamin B2 and B1. Omega-3s are super anti-inflammatory and helpful not only with cramps and pain, but with many PMS symptoms too. Medicinal mushrooms can help to support healthy cycle and period. I absolutely adore Eversio wellness formulas. This is the brand. This is just one of them, Eversio. They have therapeutic dosages. So if you're going to try medicinal mushrooms, make sure you're using Eversio. All other mushroom products, you're not getting therapeutic dosages, so you're really just wasting your money. Even green tea and matcha can be helpful because they are a rich source of antioxidants and chlorophyll, which help to cleanse the body of toxins. Okay. All right. Tons of strategies there for you. What questions do you have? I saw a few here. So light bulb moment, I need to build muscle. I don't eat sugar, but I always seem to be getting yeast infections. So you probably have a fungal overgrowth in your gut. How does castor oil help from the outside? It helps to stimulate blood flow to the area that you're placing it on. So when it's placed over the liver, it really helps to stimulate and bring blood flow and circulation to the liver, which helps to support detoxification, and similarly over the digestive system. So if you're chronically constipated, for example, a castor oil pack can be a really nice tool to bring that circulation and blood flow to the digestive system to get things moving. Okay. Any other questions? And I'm going to do a little bit of a recap. So go ahead and pop them into the comments. Or the chat box rather. I'm just being mindful of time. We might go a few minutes after 1. So what we've done today is we've gone into a really deep understanding of the root causes of painful periods. So how factors like inflammation, gut health, liver detox, blood sugar regulation all play a role in hormone balance. We've explored some natural empowering strategies that allow your body to heal from the inside out without relying on quick fixes or temporary solutions. You now have the knowledge to start addressing the root causes of your painful periods. And I know that dealing with painful periods can feel overwhelming, especially when you've already tried so many things and you've got so many other hormonal imbalance symptoms that you're struggling with throughout the month as well. But I want you to remember that your body is designed to heal. It is not about masking symptoms. It's about giving your body the right supports to restore balance and finally break free from that cycle of pain. Okay? If today's class has resonated with you and you're ready to take control of your health in a deeper, more supported way, I'd love to invite you to join my monthly membership, the Hormone Healing Hub. And I'm going to drop a link to it into the chat box there. Oh, let me just fix the settings there. If you could just let me know, one of you, please, if you could just click, it looks like it came up as a clickable link. So you should be able to click on it and it will open in a browser for you. If not, you might just have to copy and paste it into your browser. If you could just let me know, one of you, just let me know, type it's working into the chat, let me know it opens. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Sarah. All right, please put your questions into the chat because I've got so many things open. I like to keep everything in one spot. So I said that at the outset, everything goes into the chat. So pop them here, please. So I'll share a little bit about the Hormone Healing Hub and what it is. And if you have questions about it, obviously let me know. Happy to answer them for you. I want to make sure you have all of the information before we close the class today. All right, the Hormone Healing Hub. I think about it as a step-by-step blueprint where we're diving even deeper into the strategies that we talked about today, along with having the guidance and the support and the community that you need to help you truly heal. In the membership, you're going to receive expert guidance, ongoing education, and tools that help you address your unique health challenges. We're going to focus on the root causes and healing the body through nutrition, through detoxification, through gut health and hormone balance. You're going to get access to the monthly step-by-step blueprint that outlines the how, what, and why of each of the core root causes of hormonal imbalances and health issues. Live Q&A where I'm going to answer your specific questions. A supportive community of like-minded women who are on the same healing journey as you. Symptom-specific protocols to really hone in on your health. Tools, resources, and support to guide you every step along the way. And access to functional testing as an option if that's something that you're interested in at a preferred rate. The Hormone Healing Hub, it's more than just information. It's a community and a long-term solution for transforming your health and hormones. So you can finally have more energy, feel confident in your body, and no longer dread your period each month with more freedom and vitality. There's no pressure. No pressure whatsoever. But if you're ready for that next step and you're ready to commit to your healing journey, the Hormone Healing Hub is here for you. And whether you decide to join today or not, I want to thank you for being here and for investing this time in your health. And I want you to remember, healing is possible. Okay? It has started to rain. It's boring. All right, let me take a look at some of these questions. Would taking progesterone after ovulation occurs help reduce inflammation? And how would that impact my fertility? I'm 44 and trying to conceive and want to prepare my body as well as reduce my PMS and cycle symptoms. So I am very much pro bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, especially progesterone. Progesterone is naturally anti-inflammatory, but if all you're relying on is the progesterone, you're missing the point. It goes back to what I said earlier in the class when we're talking about supplements, pain medications, we're missing the point. We have to be looking at where the inflammation is coming from to begin with. Okay? And how else can we be supporting ovulation? If your blood sugar and insulin sensitivity are not stable and secure, if you do not have that on lock, you are going to struggle to ovulate, progesterone or not. And that's going to impact your fertility. Okay. So just taking progesterone doesn't make you ovulate. It doesn't ensure ovulation. It just provides a little bit of that hormonal support where you may not be producing enough of it. So in terms of fertility, we've got to be looking at reducing systemic inflammation. Getting your gut health in check now is critical for fertility because your microbiome is your baby's microbiome. So you need to make sure your microbiome is top notch to support your baby's health. Your nervous system needs to be on lock now before you get pregnant, because when you're pregnant and postpartum, it is a whirlwind. And if you don't have that foundation set now, it is going to hit you harder after the fact. Okay. So all of the things that we walked through today in terms of gut health, your liver and detoxification, blood sugar and insulin, so critical for fertility, for PMS and other cycle symptoms, which you haven't specifically listed, but you've said you have other cycle symptoms, whatever they are. Does that make sense, Melissa? Sarah, do I need a prescription for bioidentical progesterone? Yes. You should be working with a qualified functional practitioner for bioidentical progesterone. This is something that needs to be dosed appropriately, that needs to be monitored and assessed regularly to ensure that you are dosing correctly. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, so adenomyosis, you really need to be looking at digestive health and function, because adenomyosis is autoimmune-like in nature and it is an inflammatory condition. And immunity, immune function, and inflammation are rooted in the gut. They're rooted in their gut. They're rooted in your metabolism. So that's liver, that's insulin sensitivity. You've really got to be getting into those areas to support not just the symptoms of adenomyosis, but to really put it into remission. You can't cure endometriosis or adenomyosis rather, well, either one. You can't cure either, but you can put them into remission and you can support your body's healing capacity so that you're not succumbing to your symptoms month after month. Okay. All right. If you have any other questions, pop them into the chat. In the meantime, I'm so grateful to have shared this time with you. I am excited for the transformation that's ahead of you. And if you are ready to join the Hormone Healing Hub to start your journey towards healing, you can find all of those details in the chat. I'm going to drop it in one more time because there's been a couple of questions that may have pushed that up. And I'd love to see you in there so I can support you every step of the way. I'm going to hang out for another couple of minutes. So if there are any last questions, you can drop them into the chat and I'm happy to help. I'm going to stop recording now, but you're welcome to stay on.